Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Pow Block here on Bossfish Games. I'm your host, the Lights Excited Eddie V. Joining me is the one, the only Bossman himself, Mr. Corey Dirrig. Hello, good sir.
Hello, happy Thursday night at 11:55 p.m.
Hello, everybody. It is time for a mini block. Apparently we're going to be busy this week, so we had to kind of record early. We will be back on our regular schedule program, I should say.
But this to be fair, nobody's going to notice any changes. It's still coming out on Tuesday for patrons and Wednesday for everybody.
Yes.
But we are recording on a Thursday because I am unavailable this weekend and Ed is working on Sunday because it's my wife's
I'm working
birthday.
this weekend.
And it's just we decided to record on Thursday after my Tower Casuals recording because of that's when I thought it would be best, except for we just recorded a 2.5 hour episode of Tower Casuals because Bungie decided to drop 2 blogs this weekend. So my life hurts. So it's fine. No, it's fine.
Corey, I was checking my email today, and it said my Zelda Switch is ready to be picked up. It came early, so I'm gonna go. After I get off of work Friday, I'm gonna go and get it and pick it up. I'm so excited.
Are you sure? Are you sure they're not going to cancel it before you get there?
No, they showed me that it's already for pickup. I don't know. Something happens. Like, I think if you pre-order something way in advance, it looks like if you don't confirm something, they end up canceling it. And it's just like, that's weird. If I pre-ordered it like 2 days or anything before that game or that system come out, you guys take the money, be like, oh, okay, it's ready for pickup. It's very weird with Best Buy. But yeah. I will have my Switch Friday, and I'm super excited.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, so Eric, like we said, everybody, this is gonna be a mini block. We're not gonna go like do the full rundown like we do for the show. But Corey, I do gotta tell you, so you know that I'm playing Jedi Survivor and I'm playing Redfall. And I'm trying to get those. I'm trying to get. Not get with you. No, I'm trying to get those games ready for review for next week. So that's kind of my focus. I may be a Sunday late in case if anything happens with the patches or like if they bring out a patch or something, they update the game and everything. So for some unknown reason, and I'm playing both of those games, well, they're both being played on Series X. They both been crashing on me.
Mm-hmm. And, that's why I stopped playing Jedi Survivor, because it kept crashing on me.
Yeah, I was just like, what the? It didn't. It make me. I got to do like the section that I just did. I got to do all over again. And then with Redfall, it was just like you lost internet connection. How? Mm-hmm. You know, I thought this game was supposed to be connected to the internet. I thought it was going to be.
It is, though. It's a game as a service. It's got to be connected to the internet.
So I thought they was changing it. I thought they said they weren't going to do that anymore.
Well, they haven't put that part of that. They haven't updated it yet.
Okay.
So it's still technically
connected to the
internet.
Still
technically, yeah.
And it's weird. I'm just like how if I started the game right back in, it's gonna be like, okay, you're connected to the internet. Let's go. And like it's so weird. So after those games crash, I just threw in Xenoblade Chronicles Future Redeemed DLC and started playing that. Great music, but I am going to get back into that game a little bit later and everything. But I am enjoying it and stuff. I was holding that off that game until I did the Series X stuff, and just I don't know why these games are so not unpolished.
No, I mean,
But
I think
from a
it's safe to.
technical,
I think it's safe to say that a lot of these games are unpolished. I mean, Redfall in particular is like it's not. Redfall's not terrible by any means. It's not like
mm,
I would say. I mean, I think the 6.57 ish score is probably where it's at. But also, like coming from a place where I play a lot of games as a service, like Destiny, and I was
mhm,
really into the Division for a while, and uh Sea of I mean, to me, this could be like a Sea of Thieves situation where like this game just keeps getting supported and updated and everything. And I mean, remember Sea of Thieves was like, now granted, it didn't crash or anything, but it was like it was pretty bare bones, and they just kept adding to it and adding to it, and then it became,
yeah,
you know, essentially Microsoft's biggest game at this point, besides Minecraft, right? So,
mhm,
uh, I think you look at something like Redfall, and there is potential there. And I said this on the Boss Rush podcast, uh, where like I see a lot of interesting things in this game, and the lore is awesome, and I think this game has a ton going for it. Uh, on paper, but they have to fix the little things like AI, animation, uh, the texture work in some of this game is like some of it's phenomenal and some of it looks like a PlayStation 3 game, right? Like it just I don't understand what happened. And then all that stuff came. I mean, Phil Spencer was on the Kind of Funny X
they're
cast. I
funny.
didn't watch it, but
Yeah,
I read a lot of it. And it's interesting to hear him. I don't want to go into it here. I think it's something I do want to discuss at some point, but like essentially Bethesda, even though Microsoft owns them, kind of operates separate from Xbox at this point, right? Uh
right.
the only kind of strand there to connect them is that they're owned by Microsoft, so most of these games are probably going to be exclusive to Xbox moving forward, right? And PC, I guess. But like other than
Yes.
that, like Bethesda as a publisher and as a from a managerial standpoint, um, runs separate from Xbox proper, and that includes Arcane. And I think Xbox needs to do a better job of unifying Bethesda into Xbox Game Studios, and I think there needs to
Mhm,
be some not not that like the higher up people need fired or anything, right? Like I know people are saying that Phil Spencer should resign and stuff. I don't think that.
no.
I think him and Sarah Bond and Matt Booty to an extent, like they have, and Aaron Greenberg, I guess, to a lower extent, right? But have a tall task to turn the ship around for Microsoft, uh, and to have this game come out in the state that it is, like it's it looks bad for Xbox, even though it's a quote unquote Bethesda game, right? And
Right.
I think they need that middle manager. I was watching David Jaffe's kind of coverage on this today too, and he said that maybe they
Yeah.
need some sort of like a muscle, like the person that goes in and checks it, like because he was talking about how when he was at Santa Monica and they were making God of War and God of War 2, he left during the full production of God of War 2, but when those games were in production, they had people come in and it was like all hands on deck every time somebody from Sony higher up would come in, right? And
Mhm,
Microsoft doesn't do that currently, and he said maybe they need someone like that, and I kind of agree with that. Like they need that person that goes in to like, and I know like company like these studios have producers, and I know that Redfall was like well into development at the acquisition, and
mhm,
again, I don't want to go all into it, but like they need they need that person to go in and make sure everything's on track and ready to go, right? And I think Starfield has a lot of pressure on it, on unnecessary on not unnecessary, because I think it is kind of necessary, but like on the pressure that's on Starfield is not fair given the circumstance, right? And Uh,
Right.
I kind of I want I want Xbox to succeed, right? I think they're doing so many
I think
great
we all
things in the
do.
space. And to just see something like Redfall kind of come out and stumble, like, it sucks as a fan of
It,
Xbox, right? And
but
I don't before you go, just real quick. I think if Xbox had been putting out games consistently, like AAA titles, right, consistently, and Redfall was like a 6.5 or a 7, and be like, oh, okay, well, I guess they could have one. But like, this is their first AAA title since Halo, right? And I mean, we've had Pentiment, we've had Grounded, we've had DLC for Forza Horizon. There have been some PC ports like Flight Simulator and a few other things, right? But like, man, this was supposed to be the game that like kind of kicked off their second burst of here's Xbox moving forward, and they even ended their last E3 presentation on Redfall, right?
yeah.
Promoting it as this big thing, and it's like, man, this kind of just kind of sucks, and I hope that this fall is better.
Well, it's very been up and down with Microsoft with Xbox because like we had this situation with Crackdown 3. We're having this now with Redfall. Psychonauts 2 came out and that came out to I mean, it got Game of the Year for some people for Xbox, but really, who was talking about it? Like, who was really buying and supporting that game? Like that was another one that came and went. Forza Horizon
Wait, which
5,
game?
Psychonauts 2.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Like,
yeah,
that came out, but I mean, as great as it is, it fell by the wayside. And
because
Forza Horizon
it's
5.
because Psychonauts is a Mirror's Edge situation where everybody says they love the game, and then when it comes out, nobody buys it, right? I mean, that's like that's like the whole thing. Is
Well,
like,
well,
people say they want these titles, and then nobody buys them, and then they're like, why don't we get more? Well, nobody buys them, right? And I
well,
think
and
I think that's where Game Pass comes in, and it can be like, well, you don't have to buy it; you just have to be on the subscription. And we've seen things take off from Game Pass, right? Like Grounded
mhm.
and some of the Minecraft spin-off games and
But that's the
Pentiment.
kind of that's kind of the question. Is that if these games are so average and disappointing, why are you staying on the surface of Game Pass? I'm not trying to say that you should
Because it's
still
not just
go out
about
and
first
buy these
party.
games. Well, true,
It's
but that's the thing about it. I'm just like, if you as a player, a consumer, and we're going to get back into Nintendo because Nintendo kind of plays a role in this. If you are, as a consumer, are so displeased with the software that this company is bringing out that you are paying for the subscription, and regardless of third party or not, I'm kind of like not really adding that to the factor. Why are you still supporting this? Because the thing about it is, I'm like, that
well, that's the
means you
big
just
question now, right?
right, and you just accept the average and the disappointment. I don't. If I mean, because once again, this doesn't bring no concern about Activision. This doesn't bring no concern of any other um department and or other studio in ZeniMax. Doesn't bring no concern about Xbox Game Studio and with their actual developers or something. It's just like, if you're going to accept this and feel like this is average and everything, you don't have no right to complain because you know what quality you are getting. And if you're not pleased with it, then remove the support from it and go play something else.
Hmm.
But because you are on a budget or you feel like this is a great value, you stick with it. Now, people could say, well, what about Nintendo and NSO and stuff? They're bringing all of these slow games and everything. okay, yeah, they're bringing all these little games, but they're not putting their first party on the service or anything. You have to, if you want a Nintendo game first party in current times, you're going to buy the physical or you're going to buy the digital version, or
Yeah,
you're
but
going to
that's
get a
not. That's
voucher.
not. Yeah, but that's not. They're playing two different games here, right? And like that's.
But
But you bring up a good point though. Is like Microsoft promises to put their AAA games on Game Pass, right, day and date. But if you're not putting any games on the service, then how is it any different from something like, you know, PlayStation, PlayStation Plus's extra tier, or uh, something like Stadia was. I mean, again, granted, a little bit different, but or Netflix's kind of thing that they're doing, right? It's just an indie game service at this point, and uh, which there's some great games on Game Pass right now, like Coffee Talk 2 just came out on
to
there.
yeah,
Uh, there's quite a bit on there at Eastward. I'm just kind of scrolling through Game Pass real quick right now, but there's a ton of indie games on there, right? And it's a great service for, and you get the EA stuff for and the cloud gaming stuff, and your gold subscription if you pay the extra $5, right? And there's a
right.
lot of good stuff on there. But if you're not putting out AAA games or AAA games that people want to play, or you know then is it really worth it, or are you just going to go buy the game somewhere else? And I think that's if Starfield isn't a hit, if I mean Forza is going to be great, but I think people are tired of the Halo, Gears, Forza trinity, right? I think they want something new. Uh,
Which is
so
the
Starfield's
question.
not a hit. Well, I think the next two games you're looking at now, right, is Starfield and Hellblade, right?
Hellblade,
Because he did say Hellblade was coming, and some game collections are coming. He said, which kind of points to the Gears collection that's been rumored for a while, which I would really appreciate if they updated the Gears games.
mm-hmm.
So to me, like I don't care about Starfield. I just don't care about Starfield. So the next game for me would be Hellblade, and Hellblade looks amazing. But if that game does not perform well, right? Like if that game is not a technical masterpiece and doesn't
Mm-hmm.
play like a technical masterpiece, and doesn't, like, if it crashes at all, or if the resolution or performance modes aren't there, or something to that effect, like, what do you do? What do you do if you're Xbox?
You know what? For me personally, I'm going to question. This is going to sound weird, and I know people going to get me. You might not agree with me with this, Corey, but I would stop using Unreal Engine 5 because if
Well,
you're
that's not
going
that's not
and
the engine's fault.
but
That
but the thing about it is
Why?
it
Wait,
always feels
what is hold on?
reason
What does Unreal have to do with
on
anything?
because the thing about it, I feel like they're still if I feel like they're still learning that engine and everything. And I know that doesn't have to deal with the technical aspect of something like frame rate and all of that.
But
But
what engine are you going to move to that you have to
well,
reteach your entire staff to do, import all
well
these
that's gonna
assets to?
that's and that's the thing about it. It's just like who's I wonder whose engine because who what is Forza's engine? I wonder.
It's their own proprietary engine.
So they have what, two of them? That one and wherever Halo Infinite was. Um
Slipspace. Well, they're scrapping Slipspace
Unreal Engine 5.
For Unreal for the next Halo
And
game.
and the thing about it just feels like the
The
Gears team the Gears team gonna take Unreal Engine 5 to a whole nother level.
Well,
I think they're the ones
the coalition is helping Epic build the engine.
right.
Like that's their whole thing. Is like, I mean, the coalition is made up of a bunch of ex Epic people who wanted to
As,
continue to make Gears, right? Like that was the whole
right.
point.
Right, and it feels like, and it's going to feel like, how come they know how to use this engine, but not everybody else? And I understand they don't have to go to Unreal Engine 4 or something, but they go, and I trust Ninja Theory to really deliver on great quality
I,
of their
I
games.
trust them. I trust them to do Hellblade right. Right. Like I
Yes.
do. But then you look at next year and you got to think like Contraband. When's that coming? Where's State of Decay? Where's Fable? Where's Perfect Dark? Where's the next Halo update? Are we going to get an
Mm-hmm.
update on Gear 6? Like I posted in our writing chat uh for Boss Rush, and it was like the kind of roadmap for Xbox and kind of what they've announced and what's happened already and what's been pushed, and it's kind of updated. Um and the thing is like I feel like people have kind of forgotten about Hi-Fi Rush already this year.
Well,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, and this, and see, this was the thing when people were, and this is where the Nintendo comes in. This was the idea that people had for Nintendo Switch when it first dropped. What is Nintendo going to do about their games? Because people laughed about their launch and their list of games and be like, no one's going to buy the system. They're not going to get the games. And now you literally look from 2017 to 2023, and even added on the pandemic and stuff, you cannot deny the high quality that has come from a lot of the. We're just speaking of first party of a lot of Nintendo games that have came out that has sold in the millions. That whether it's a new IP or it's a continuation in somebody's franchise, you cannot deny that. And people want that success that's happening with Nintendo to happen on Xbox. And I believe Xbox can achieve it and everything. But I literally feel like, you need to change your mindset on how you're doing games. Because I know you're trying to go for this more mature kind of aesthetic with their games, but it's not working. So you need to switch something up. I'm glad that you guys are going for this multiplayer, or this online idea, or even you try to add some single player and tell these like darker stories and stuff. I could truly understand that, but I would love more games like Hi-Fi Rush. I would love for you guys to do dive into different uh and different artwork and stuff, because it really feels like the different artworks are the ones that everything is tighter and there's no problem. But when you're trying to do something almost realistic, like, it's not working for some unknown reason. Like, and you do have a powerful system, but I think your power really comes out for older games and things with a different art style. They're not working for stuff like Jedi Survivor or Redfall
well,
or
I mean,
even
it's not just an
stuff
that's
like
a
that.
not just an Xbox problem. That's a Jedi Survivor across all platforms problem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just man, I think Xbox. I mean, and the thing too is like they're too far they're too far in now, right? To turn back and change
To turn
directions,
back.
and
Right.
they have to stick to this plan now for better or for worse. And I hope that they uh
And,
I hope that they figure it out, because I think the Xbox is a great platform. I think Game Pass
mhm.
is great. I think both versions of the Xbox that are out, although I think the Xbox Series S is actually going to hinder them a lot in the future. Um, but we'll see. I hope that they
And
pull through, and I hope that they come out with something that's interesting, because, like I said, Redfall is interesting, right?
yeah,
There's an
it
idea
is.
there, and like killing vampires is cool and stuff like that. But like
It's not zombies or anything.
the game, man, is just it's in a rough state right now, and I hope Bethesda figures that out too.
Right. And and I know people wanna like how they hopped on Nintendo for allowing Pokemon to come out the way that it is. But like I told people, I'm like, that's Nintendo is only publishing it. And maybe they did give the Pokemon company
Well, but that's the same
a
situation
thing.
Redfall's in, though.
Right. And that was, and like I said, that was more into the Pokemon company. But Nintendo was getting blamed for this because their names are on it and everything. You know, with Redfall, they're blaming Microsoft, but because Microsoft owns ZeniMax, they're going to get the blame, even though this is something new for Arcade. And I could give, and you know what? I feel like
Well,
even
maybe
at
that's something. Maybe that's on Arcane then, because maybe they should just stick to what they're good at, right? I mean,
which for some people that should be true, but I'm fine with you trying something different, you know.
I agree to an extent.
And
But
and
this is the same thing that happened to Avengers. This is the same
mhm,
thing that happens to all these studios who create single player games and are either forced to make a game as a service or this giant multiplayer, and
ooh,
they just don't know how, and they don't hire the right people to help or do. And
this is
that's kind of like where Sony is actually making the smart move of hiring all these multiplayer or buying these multiplayer studios, having Bungie help with their games as a service type thing, because they specialize
mhm.
in single player games, and having those teams that specialize um in these other types of game genres, it's going to help them in the long run. And I hope that, and just for competition's sake, that they don't get too far behind, Xbox, I'm
Well,
saying.
right, and Sony is a whole different level of nonsense at times. Um,
At times,
yeah,
all the
the,
time.
the level level of nonsense at times because it's just like that's gonna be that. I know I'm not on Boss Rush podcast, but I really want to come on later on in the year and just like have not a pro and con, but a weird kind of summary of how we look at Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. And maybe this is my personal thing and stuff, but it's just like I feel like each of these companies, they like we said, they do something well, but something is very off about it and stuff. And it may be because we're not used to it, or we expect a higher level from them of quality and content and stuff. Um, but like I don't know, it's I when Redfall is working, it is fun. I will say that when Jedi Survivor isn't
Mhm.
frustrating, it's okay and everything. Like they
Yeah,
have their issues. I just think with Microsoft, I will say this. I do give it to Phil Spencer because he does care and he's doing what Iwata did when the Wii U was failing. Like he took blame, even though he didn't cut his salary like Iwata. He did take blame. He did accept that yeah, the game has faults, the game has problems, and everything. But
I almost wonder, just to I know what you said, like Phil Spencer cares and everything. I almost wonder if Phil Spencer would do better at a smaller company, because Microsoft is just so big, right? And
mhm.
like the way he cares, he almost feels like he doesn't belong at Microsoft, if that makes sense.
Well,
And I'm not saying like in a bad way or anything. I'm just saying like
mhm.
he cares a lot. He wants to position Xbox as as the brand that cares about the gamers and
Right.
everything. And like I almost wonder if Microsoft is too big for that stance.
I don't think so. I think if he cared about, I think he needs to be more visible in his caring about games. Yes, I can understand Reggie and I can understand Bowser and everything. You know, those are more business minded stuff. But I'm like, you kind of got to give, regardless of what you say about Iwata running Nintendo, he has a history in his development. He treated his employees fair so they could continue to bring out the games that he believed in. And regardless if people liked them or not and whatever they sold, Iwata stood by those games that he was proud that his teams were bringing out and stuff. And if people had to go and check, if Iwata was still here today, and he retired and stuff, I think he still would. If Phil Spencer really wanted to get an idea of doing games and stuff, I think he would have went to Japan to talk to Iwata to get some ideas and figure out some business stuff. If Iwata retired and stuff, because I'm just like, Iwata is a developer at heart. So he knows that what's the ups and downs about game design and development. And if he could come in and give a solution, they're gonna listen to him and do it. With Phil Spencer, he is a businessman, and he has a lot of things that he has to do. And of course, he has other people underneath him and everything in different departments. But he is a businessman. He can't go to a studio and pick up a controller and start playing it and everything. If he did, if he was doing that and being more visible, I think the games that did get delayed and everything, and he's saying what the reason why they being delayed, would give us more of an idea that okay, he actually got hands on the pressures, and maybe there's some things that need to be tightened up and cleaned up and fixed and everything. So guess what? We'll wait. And then if it comes out and it's better because Phil Spencer went back and played it from that side and everything, he'll be like, okay, this is ready to go. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
because like shoot, Nintendo did that with Bayonetta too. They were just like, we're going to give you some ideas, or we're going to see if we can fix some things and everything. But other than that, yeah, the game is still in your hands. But they sent people to go check up on those games. Especially Nintendo's not gonna release no mess. Someone's gonna go in there and find out what's going on, and then they're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Shoot, Anuma don't delay Zelda Legend of Zelda games for almost 7 years, 6 to 7 years, without trying to get that game together because he knows what that game expectation is.
If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushMedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support. I almost wonder if Nintendo doesn't care about their shareholders the way that, I mean, not in a bad way, but they just don't act like a publicly traded company the way that Microsoft has to, right? And I wonder if that has anything to do with a lot of this too, right? Because Bethesda also is now a publicly traded company, and they have to get their games out and have their earnings call and appease the shareholders. And I think that's something that a lot of people who talk about this stuff don't think about, right? Is this is a business at the end of the day, and whether you're private or public, depends on what you can and can't do. And I think that at the end of the day, they had to get their game out. And guess what? When the game came out, Microsoft and the Activision deal appeal announcement came out, guess what? Microsoft stock prices went through the roof when these two things happened. It looks negative to us because we want the Activision, as Xbox gamers, we want the Activision Blizzard thing to, be over regardless of which way it goes, right? For me,
right.
I would rather it happen because I don't want to see some kind of negative foreign entity to come in and swoop in and buy them, right? Like someone like Tencent or the Saudi government or something, right? Like someone like that. But I just want it to be over, and I want to see Crash and stuff on Game Pass and Toys for Bob make a Banjo game, or there's so many talented people other than the people that make Call of Duty and Overwatch and Diablo, right? There's so many
Right.
talented developers there. Uh, Regardless of what you think of the people at the top of that company, most of them will probably be gone at the at the end of this acquisition, right? If it happens. Uh, but at the end of the day, like, the negativity the gamers see boosted Microsoft's um stock prices.
Stock.
So that at the end of the day, that made them a ton of money. They had a record breaking quarter regardless of no games coming out, right? I mean, Microsoft had uh what, Minecraft and uh Hi-Fi Rush last quarter, right?
Uh,
And
e- um,
that's 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 it. Record breaking month though. Subscriptions are up. Uh
and
Making
and
Xbox businesses up. Game sales are up.
and And the thing about with Minecraft Legends, like Phil Spencer said that it became the number one game in Japan on Switch. I was just like, ooh, that's regardless of that, if people feel like that's bad or good. I'm like, that's a win for Microsoft.
Well,
That's the stuff that we literally want to hear.
their philosophy on console sales too is so different than everybody else. And
Hmm.
I feel like everybody who talks about the console sales stuff is like, y- it's hard for Microsoft because they talk about how many players play their games, and you know that how many people are in the ecosystem, instead of like, they don't have that tangible thing that they can point to and say, we sold 10 million copies of Halo, we sold 30 million Xboxes, right? Like, they go by how they know how to go about it, because at the end of the day, Microsoft as a company is a services company. You think of
Hmm.
Excel, the Microsoft Office package, their Outlook stuff, they are a services company. Game Pass is a service, right? And
Right.
so they're reporting the numbers the way they know how, because they are a services company, and they're kind of blending what we used to know about games with what they view their service stuff. And it's
Right.
hard to grab that tangible number, because Xbox is actually doing really well in terms of their business, right? Selling their
Yeah.
games on Steam, having Game Pass on PC and
Some of their
Xbox and
games even on
cloud.
Epic Games.
Yeah, and so I just, their strategy is much different and not as isolating as Nintendo's and PlayStation's, right? And
and, and,
uh
and the thing and the thing about it is, I'm like, if Nintendo came out with physical and digital numbers, folks probably would be pissed off because if physical numbers are really good numbers, just adding digital is only going to raise that number up higher and everything, and people are going to be upset that why is this why is this system that doesn't give us the high quality specs like Xbox and PlayStation, why is it selling and why the games are still selling? Well, if you're a number person and you want the numbers, Nintendo is serving you everything with the physical and digital. If that was to happen, why are you mad at Nintendo for doing business? Because they are a company in business to make money and everything.
mhm,
They're providing the product, people wanted it rated high or average or whatever, is selling what it's selling, and the numbers
mhm,
are going. So you can't be mad at Nintendo. Why would you praise Microsoft or Sony if they were doing the same thing? Microsoft
mhm,
just switched it because their business is, we're getting money. Just because we don't see the sale numbers or provide the sale numbers, that's not saying that we're not getting that money. If we got 20 plus some million subscribers, that's giving us, just rating up, I'm just going to estimate it, $15 a month. That's bank per month,
mhm. Yeah,
whether
I
you
mean,
play the games or not.
let's say they have what, 30 million, let's say they have 30 million Game Pass subscribers. Let's just say on average, because PC Game Pass is only $5, but Game Pass Ultimate is $15. Some people probably got a deal. Some people probably, regardless. Let's say
Hmm.
about $10 a month, right?
Yes.
right? That is $900 million a quarter for Microsoft at this point, right? And that's like, I mean, that's $3.5 billion a year from Game Pass subscriptions. You're telling me
Exactly.
Microsoft's not happy with that? You know?
Free money.
Yeah. So I mean, I mean, just imagine when these games start coming out or pouring out for, pouring out for Xbox onto Game Pass, and they increase that by 10 million. Like, let's just say they get 10 million more, people. That's
Hmm.
$100 million a month, right? That's 1.2 billion dollars for the year, which would put it at close to $5 billion a year if they could hit like 40 million Game Pass subscribers approximately.
Hmm.
You
And
know,
people got to realize that retail is cut out this whole situation.
hmm
Nintendo needs retail, even though they want stuff to be digital because that's more money for them.
hmm
Nintendo is satisfied with the retail numbers, and they need them because they have seen that if if you could get 10 million people to buy just the physical version of a game, Nintendo's gonna be like, oh, we yes, of course, some of this money is gonna go to retail and everything, but we're recouping a lot of this money that we put in, like whatever our budget is, you know.
yeah,
Uh,
and I think that if they hit the number that they want to, right, like I think, and if you can get if you can get one first party game out a quarter, right?
mm-hmm.
I think, and in the interviews, Phil Spencer said that they were very close to hitting that. They will probably start hitting that next year, right? I think their fall is actually going to be pretty stellar, to be honest with you. I mean, you have Forza's always a banger, right?
But
Starfield.
the problem with
Well, here,
Forza
here,
is Forza's supposed to drop this summer.
here
So
yeah, but
unless he
but
delays it,
here's the thing, though. I mean, like, they're okay. Then I'll move to second half just to appease people, right? So you
mm,
have you have Forza Motorsport, you have Starfield, you have Hellblade, and a couple game collections, which first of all tells me I'm guessing Gears is the no-brainer there. I don't really know what the other game collection could be unless they're like doing a HD Fable collection or uh some sort of terrible Perfect Dark collection, which would also be not a great
Gears would
idea.
be weird though, because
Why?
they already did it. Because
They
they
didn't
already
do
did
it.
a Gears collection, but
They
I
did
think
not.
but
They never did a Gears collection.
with
They've never
Gears,
done a Gears.
I understand that 2 and 3 were and Judgment was downloadable once you bought Gears 1, the remaster.
Yeah, but those are
But
Xbox.
some
Those are
people
the Xbox 360 games, though. Those aren't. My point
people
is
still
they're
was
gonna.
considering it as a collection though.
My point is they're gonna make like a Master Chief collection style collection where like all the campaigns are available and then all of the multiplayer maps are available in one cohesive multiplayer thing. And I don't think that'll be as rough as Master Chief Collection because all those games are available on one system instead of spread across three separate systems and different engines. They're all running on Unreal 3. Uh, and I think if you updated them to Unreal Engine 4,
Mhm.
uh, I don't think that would. I think it would be much easier to make a quote unquote Marcus Phoenix collection than it would be to do the Master Chief collection, right?
I would rather just do a do a Gears of War collection and just add 1 through 5 with Judgment. Don't even worry about 1 to 3 because uh, the gamer thought is because they bought Gears of One the remaster, 2, 3, and Judgment came free with those games, so they're considering that as a collection, even though it's not saying that it's under a collection. They're just considering it as a collection where
Yeah.
a Gears
Well,
of War
yeah, but
collection is
Gears
that you actually have everything that they have released.
Yeah, but
all on one disc.
Gears 2 and 3 at least could use some sort of facelift, man. Like those games look like, I mean, they look great and run great, but they look old at this point, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, I think they're I still think they're going to have an overall decent year, right? I think Redfall is going to. I think when Starfield and Forza and Hellblade come out, Redfall is just going to be a, you know, they're just, you're going to forget about it. You know, this is the same thing that happened, you know, with it's almost the opposite situation that happened with Halo. Halo won Game of the Year at so many outlets, right? Halo Infinite, great game, awesome game, great multiplayer, you know, fun campaign. And then everybody's like, "Well, Halo sucks now." No, Halo doesn't suck. They lost track of the roadmap and
Mm-hmm.
fixing the issues and making sure the features that they promised were in there. And I don't know, I still think Halo Infinite's a great game. I understand that in this world of service games that they are not living up to the expectations, and rightfully so, right? Because I mean, at this point, Halo 3 had and granted, different time, different engine, different tech. You could pump games out faster back then. That's not what I'm saying. But at this point, Halo 3 had like 20 something maps. ODST was on its way,
Mm-hmm.
and like I it just Halo needs to figure it out. And I don't know if they're going to continue with Halo Infinite or if they're just going to go to a new Halo 7, I guess it would be. Uh but yeah, I think that Halo needs a I think they just need to find their map, you know, find their way.
Where I
So,
think where I think Nintendo is like we said with Nintendo, they could fall back this far. You know, even though yes, they want to get more systems sold for a Switch. Like we're probably not getting another Pokemon this year because of Violet and Scarlet, and people still waiting for those updates. So they could just add more to that
I
if
think
they
we're getting
want.
Let's Go games.
Probably, but I think Nintendo, like literally after Pikmin 4, we won't know. Like right now, Pikmin 4 is the last game that we know that's coming out, with Metro Prime 4 being the most expected. Any DLC will probably be from Splatoon 3. Um we still got Mario Kart DLC, and we don't know what they're going to be doing with Tears of the Kingdom with that. So unless Nintendo have something very hidden that we don't know about at this time, they could fall back and release a little bit of games and everything. Now, there may be some remakes. There may be, and I'm just excluding third party, everybody. There may be some remakes, or there may be still some games that Nintendo is working with third party and second party. So we
Mm-hmm.
may have another game with Platinum. We probably got a game with Kobe Tecmo. We probably got a game with Bandai Namco. We
I think
probably
there's going to
got
be some sort of Warriors game this year. I bet there's some sort of Warriors game that comes out this year. We're due for one, right?
um actually no, because we have Fire Emblem already at Age of Calamity. So
Yeah, but yeah.
I'm like, where would they?
Yeah.
I mean, the only ones that's on the bucket that we can actually think of is that something Star Fox related. Um, I don't think we got. I don't think we have anything Kirby related ready to go. The Mario team could be doing something, so we could see that Donkey Kong stuff. Who knows? Um, we already did Mario and Rabbit, so that might be put on hold until a
Well,
little bit down the line.
Ubisoft's a whole nother can of worms that we probably don't have time to.
It's all. But like
Although
right
X Defiant,
now,
people seem to like X Defiant, which is surprising after the whole kerfluffle about They did remove the Tom Clancy name, although they're still using Tom Clancy IP. But I think a lot of people think that game as a Call of Duty competitor is different and interesting. And if they do the free to play thing right, I think they could actually do something really interesting.
And yes, I know everybody that we talked a lot about Microsoft with a little bit of Nintendo again, but I think this runs into kind of why E3 is important to have these discussions. It's just not about it's just not about what's coming from the fall and the winter or what's happening on that console and stuff. This was I feel like we were getting better information and anticipation by seeing these reveals during E3. It's still a direct style kind of thing now, but it was just like at least that we had a better understanding on how it get played, how stuff was planned, so we can have discussions on how am I going to do my August, how I'm going to do my September, how I'm going to do my October, November, December. Are some stuff going to get delayed and everything? And it was just like we were able to come together and talk about those things and even make our list, that stuff that were anticipated or stuff that we were glad to see or can't believe that got announced and everything. So and I think that's why I personally feel like E3 was supported. I know a lot of people just like they're great that E3 is not happening this year, and all these other companies could do that stuff, and we still could come together to talk. But I just feel like the spirit of E3 for me, it's like it's gonna be missed because I love that we have Xbox is showing. Later on that night, Ubisoft is showing. So I got something scheduled. We could talk about stuff. We get stuff planned. We could not research, but we could look over things and still discuss and everything. Yeah, it's a lot of production work to it, but it just to me it just felt more fun during the E3 presentations than actually being at the E3 show. I have to add. It was just fun that way, where at least we got to see what we know what we was getting in the fall or winter, or at least something that was coming, depending if it was shown or not, gameplay wise shown, or if it was going to be cinematic and stuff. Because I'm just like, I know Remedy is busy, but shoot, I feel like Microsoft gets to talking to Remedy. Because if Nintendo talks to Remedy, that is going to be something no one expects at this time.
Remedy's not going to make anything for Nintendo. That's why.
True, but to see if for Nintendo to go out and talk away for Advance Wars and stuff like there, I literally would see. I literally would love to see.
Way Forward is a way different company than someone like Remedy.
But I literally would love to see Nintendo going to Way Forward and just be like, can you guys make a game in this art style? Or what would you put on a Nintendo console, and something? Because even if Nitty wasn't talking to Remedy on Switch, but Switch Deluxe, like just their actual next gen, I'm using Switch Deluxe as a code to everybody. A Switch Deluxe, and they were talking to Remedy to bring something to that console or create a new IP, and they will fund it, dude. What, like, that would literally be insane, because then well, not really Sony, because Sony just had the exclusive to show control, but they haven't made anything for strictly PlayStation. But if Nintendo was talking to Remedy to bring something, or even what if they took one of their old IPs and stuff, like
Alan Wake is on Switch.
Yeah, it's on Switch.
Not
but I'm just like,
version of it, but it's there.
It's there. but I'm just like them going to Remedy and be like, you guys, we want you to make something for our current console or our next console, what would you guys bring to the table? We'll fund it, or
Man,
we
what
have
would
some
be awesome?
idea.
What would be awesome for Remedy to do would be Eternal Darkness.
Oh heck yeah,
That would be
that I
cool.
could see. That I could
That'd be
see.
cool. I know they wouldn't, but that would be super cool.
Even if they wouldn't, I think it would fit. Cause I feel like I think Remedy would be up for it, because I'm just like, personally, for me
Yeah, but
to
they've
have
got
that
so many
opportunity
projects in the works though right now.
going.
Remedy. I mean, between the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes, uh
Did they
Control
actually announce
2,
that?
uh-huh, Alan Wake 2, and then their new project, like I'm worried that they're running themselves thin at this point, but
Mm.
I don't run that studio, so I'm not
But I could actually see them going to Remedy and doing that. Like, and I think Remedy wouldn't pass it up. And I'm not saying for the budget reason, but to have the opportunity to make a game for Nintendo, like, those developers would be ecstatic and probably like hyped to do that.
Yeah, I don't think it's a budget issue. They made they made Control with on a budget of like $30 million, so
Mm-hmm.
that's nothing in the AAA space at this point. Plus like you have Nintendo's budget, so like you wouldn't even have to worry about budgeting, but uh I think you can make uh a pretty interesting version of Eternal Darkness with a small budget and interesting effects. Also, like whatever Nintendo's controls are at that point too would be really interesting to implement in there, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
HD rumble in terms of like something's happening on screen, you're rumbling. I don't know. I don't know what they could do. I'm just trying to think. When it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm trying to think on the fly, it's not working very well. But that's just kind of what I'm getting at. Is like they could do something interesting with Nintendo's hardware as well, because that's what Eternal Darkness is kind of known for, right? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Remedy would. I think Remedy would be up for it. It would definitely make sales. It would definitely get people talking. Trust me, if they got if if The Witcher 3 got people talking in a very weird way on Switch, and it got people to go and buy that game,
yeah,
Remedy could do the same thing.
yeah. I think The Witcher on Switch is pretty. It's a pretty good port. Not saying if you don't have another console or something to play it, but if you want portable Witcher, you know, the Switch isn't a
If you're
terrible
trying,
place to play it.
right? I mean, if you're trying to go in to get the story and say that you actually beat the game, you don't care about anything else. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's. I mean,
No,
the most I played The Witcher was on the Switch version, which was like, you know. Also
most people
played Doom
beat
and
the game
Wolfenstein
on
there too,
Switch.
so I'm not trying to. I don't know.
Hey, shoot, Doom was good on Switch. I want to play Wolfenstein on Switch.
Doom after that first or second patch was pretty. I want to say it was actually pretty decent. I actually
Mm,
also like not to like plug the Switch version of Wolfenstein, but the way they developed it and made like the concessions they made and just like the concessions they made almost fit with the time period that the game is set in because it changed the way the game looked a little bit and ran
huh.
to the point where like it felt like I don't know if video games were made in the 60s, I guess. I don't know. I don't know, but it had this really cool like effect on the game that made because you know how like when you watch period piece movies now they all have that stupid filter on them that makes them look like oh it's the 1940s, let's make everything look
Yeah.
yellow. Like it had that a similar effect on Wolfenstein, and I thought it was really cool to play the game like that. Granted, you you put Wolfenstein 2 on an Xbox Series X with the enhanced mode turned on, and it looks 1,000 times better. But like
Yeah.
the Switch version was like, yeah, it was good.
I mean, and for some people, like I said, sometimes looks aren't everything. Sometimes the gameplay has to match the look, because if the gameplay is janky and the game looks great, you'll know the difference. You'll hear people talking. Trust me, you'll hear people talking.
Yeah.
So. Well, Corey, I think we had a good mini block. I think we had a good discussion.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's Zelda week. We should probably touch on that a little bit. It's Zelda week. It's
yes.
You know, by the time this comes out for everybody, Zelda will be 2 days away and counting.
Yes.
This game is going to be massive in terms of, I think, in terms of sales, in terms of popularity, in terms of just the sheer size of the game in general. I'm really interested to see how people react to some of the new abilities. I know the controls have changed significantly, I've heard, since Breath of the Wild, and so I've actually stopped playing Breath of the Wild to get myself off of those controls. I've actually been playing a lot of Mario Kart recently, and it's pretty good.
And to give everybody a heads up, we have not looked at the leaks. We're not talking about any of that. We are literally waiting for the game to drop so that we can play it, give our own opinion about it. I definitely want to get Stephanie on that episode to talk. And then definitely hear like different opinions from the Bossrush crew and from the community, because that next Friday, the 12th, is going to be a big day. And of course, people are going to be showing stuff at midnight. So if you don't want it to be spoiled, don't check Twitter. For some people, don't check Twitch or anything. Don't check YouTube gaming or anything, or Facebook gaming. Don't check any of that. Like streaming wise, if you see someone saying that they're streaming it, avoid and everything. Like if you really want to go fresh, if you got it digitally, play it at your own leisure when it drops. If you're getting it physically, once the store's open, you guys go pick it up, experience it in that way. Because I know for a lot of us, the texting is going to be off the chain. Discord is going to be jumping, and everything. The messages is going to be like really good, I should say.
I'm interested to see how this how it runs and how it plays, and these interesting little things that are happening. So it should be fun, as they say.
Yeah. Yes. Well, with that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Pow Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!
Bye.
Nintendo Pow Block is a product of Boss Rush Media, LLC, and is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio. The show is hosted by me, Edward Varnell. My co-hosts are Corey Dirrig and Corey Yikes. You can find Corey at I am Corey in HD on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting the Boss Rush Podcast and Tower Casuals, the Destiny Podcast. You can find Corey at Corey_Yikes on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. You can find me at That Richard Cole on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Nintendo Pow Block on all social media platforms at Pow Block Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Visit bossrush.net for more great content and patreon.com/bossrushmedia to learn how you can support this show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.